Backchat TV. Subscribe.
We go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Michael Bell scores the contest, 48-47, cejudo. Derek clearly scores it, 48-47, Sterling. And Eric Curlin scores the contest, 48-47 for the winner by split decision, and still the undisputed UFC bantamweight champion of the world, Aljamain Sterling.
I am here with the winner and still champion, the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain, it was an outstanding fight. How confident were you at the end that you had done enough to retain your title?
First off, I want to say, what's up, New Jersey? Hey, hats off to Henry cejudo. I knew it was a close fight coming in, and I wasn't sure which way the decision was going to go. I thought I had a 3-2. Man, I wish I could have done a little bit better. But yo, Henry's a dog. He's a legend, and it ain't no easy task to just run through him like I did everybody else. So, one thing I want to say, I know there's a sweet crowd right now. Well, he can star in the episode of Funk Master, baby. Sugar Show with a web.
Before we bring out Sugar Sean, Aljamain, what was the game plan coming into this fight, and what, if anything, was surprising?
Henry's takedown defense, I knew it was going to be tough, but like I said, the Olympic gold medal doesn't count in the octagon. He stopped a lot of my takedowns, but persistence is going to keep on shining, and that's what we did. Stay persistent, keep gunning for that takedown, and I think that's where I won the fight. The striking, look at my face, look at his, and you can see who landed the hardest shots.
Well, Aljamain, this was obviously a huge victory for you. Henry is a real legend, a two-division champion. Now you retain your title, and you will have a chance to defend your title against the man we're about to bring in here right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Bring that sweet sugar.
You better hope you look better than that.
I know you got a whole year. You got a whole year to work on your jiu-jitsu.
You better be ready to cut weight.
Daddy Dana ain't gonna babysit no more. Daddy Dana ain't gonna babysit no more. In the big boy playlist, baby.
Get ready to cut weight.
In the big boy playlist.
You better look better than that.
Better
than that. You better look better than that. You look like you better be able to cut weight real soon.
So why'd you run? Why'd you turn down the title shot? Why'd you turn down the title shot? That's what I thought. Because I'll drag up and down this octagon. I'll drag it up and down this octagon. Get the out of my cage. Get this bitch out of my cage.
Aljamain, I don't want to ruin your celebration with this, because this is an awesome victory for you. So I just want to congratulate you on retaining your title. I look forward to seeing you fight Sean O'Malley next. There's some words here with Marab Davashwali. Ho, 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 ho. All right, let's separate everybody here, ladies and gentlemen.
September. Signed, delivered, and sealed, baby. Signed, delivered, and sealed, September.
Well, the next fight is clearly set up, and clearly it's a grudge match. Aljamain, just still, I want to...
Hey, I'm not in here pretending to be no Mike Tyson. I'm not pretending to be nobody else. All I can be is Aljamain the Funk Master Sterling. Be me. You step in the cage, I'm going to drag up and down the octagon, and that's it. You don't like it, come do something about it.
Aljamain, congratulations on retaining your title. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a nice round of applause for the champion, Aljamain Sterling.
What's going on, guys? So UFC 288 is just wrapped up. Some people would say a little bit of an anticlimax with some of the fights, especially the main event. I wouldn't say, well, I would agree with some people that say it was an anticlimax, but I understand it, because when you got guys in the top 5, top 6 fighting each other, you're going to get a stalemate. You're going to get tentativeness. Nobody wants to make the first mistake, you know. So I completely expected it. It was a close fight. To be honest, this fight is actually what gave me more respect for Henry Cejudo. I was never like a detractor of him. I always liked him, but I did edge Sterling to win. And this was for a few reasons. So I always felt that although Cejudo is normally the smaller fighter, it wasn't by much in most of his fights. And a lot of the fighters that he fought, they were kind of like either strikers or wrestlers or one particular style. And I think this suits Cejudo much better because Cejudo can mix it up, but his wrestling is obviously the main things, but obviously he's quite a good striker as well. He's got a good speed and good timing, and he often uses that to cover that distance that he lacks because of being a smaller fighter. And with Sterling, he struggled with this a little bit. I'm going to go into what I mean. But I always gave Cejudo a lot of credit. You don't win a gold medal, which he always talks about, and he's got every right to. You don't win a gold medal at the Olympics, or beat, even more importantly, you don't beat the likes of Demetrius Johnson, Hall of Famer, Morales, people like this. You know, you don't beat these people easy if you're not a highly skilled fighter. So I always knew he was good. Even his win against Dominic Cruz, very convincing. All these fighters that he beat, you know, they were good fighters and he beat them in amazing fashion. So I always knew that he was a high level fighter. But I just thought that him being off for 3 years, and I said this in a video that I made, being off for 3 years, not taking a tune-up and coming straight back to fight the #1 guy is going to be very difficult because Sterling is going to have the edge on timing and just being sharp. Yeah, ring rust is a real thing. Yeah, cage rust, whatever you want to call it. It's a real thing. You know, you can be a really good fighter, but you can be doing all sorts of things in training, but you need sometimes when you're fighting the #1 guy who's going to be as sharp as a knife, yeah, you need to get that sharpness. You actually need to have a tune-up fight. Even if the fighter's not that good and you look great, it just helps you to get that sharpness. It's very hard to get that sharpness without fighting somebody if you're fighting the #1 guy. So I knew coming back from 3 years layoff, just having a child, little bit of puppy fat, you know, he wasn't in the greatest shape, although he was in good shape. It's just not enough against a #1 guy. So I knew that was going to be his biggest obstacle. Then if you add to the fact that Sterling is great at using distance, he's got a height advantage, he's got a massive reach advantage. You know, he was the bigger, stronger guy in there. And it kind of showed, but I've got a lot of respect for Henry. Like I said, he did better than I thought he would. He is a tough competitor, and I can see why he beat all these guys. At first, I wasn't sure, but, you know, I can see why. His wrestling was great. The first round, let me just go through what I actually thought of the round. I kind of scored it a little bit, but I need to watch it back because literally it's just finished not long ago. I felt like Cejudo was on his way to claiming the first round. His pressure was good. He was he wasn't kind of biting on any of the feints that Sterling was kind of trying to feed him. You know, his pressure was good. He got in. Eventually, he got Sterling down. Was winning the round, like I said. He just took his foot off the gas and allowed Sterling to win the last sequence of that round. And Sterling looked more dominant because when Sterling took him down, he landed some strikes as well. He was in a dominant position. I personally gave the first round to Sterling. Now, the second round I felt was quite close. I don't know, because Henry was he landed some leg kicks. He was getting a bit closer with the strikes. Sterling was still being elusive, still landing from distance, playing with the range. He landed some good leg kicks and done some damage. I would have edged the second round to Sterling. I just feel that he was busier. He landed the harder shots or more damaging strikes, I should say. Third round, I felt like Cejudo started to get his rhythm, started to get his timing and his entry points. He got a lot closer to Sterling in the third round. Got a takedown. He didn't do much with it, but still dominant control. I give the third round to Henry. And then the fourth round, I think Sterling came back quite strong in that round. Landed a lot of shots, landed the meaningful strikes, and he stayed very elusive. I just feel like Henry couldn't really get his entry points correct, and I feel like Sterling being like a freestyle fighter really confused him, because I think Cejudo underestimated his striking, and then also his wrestling. So I think that showed a lot in the fight. So I gave the third round. I gave the fourth round to Sterling. I gave the fifth round, funny enough, to Cejudo. Good pressure, started coming forward, kind of went for broke a little bit, and I definitely think he got the round. So overall, I think the rightful person won. I think it was 3-2 to Sterling. It was a close fight. Second round was close, but I still think that Sterling still clearly won the second round. So I give the fight to Sterling 3-2. But I would have liked Cejudo with this kind of performance. I know he won't be proud of it, but I would have liked to see him fight a tune-up fight before fighting Sterling. I would have liked to see Cejudo a little bit sharper from having a tune-up fight, and then who knows, maybe he wouldn't have let go of that first round, and then we'd be talking about a totally different fight, because Cejudo would have won the first fight. So it would have been Cejudo winning the first round, Sterling winning the second round. It would have been two apiece, and then who knows? I don't like to look into things like that, but I'm just saying, somebody coming back after 3 years, not being at peak condition, maybe this was a factor, but he did himself proud. He didn't get finished like, a lot of the fighters that Sterling has fought. Sterling's looked really impressive against a lot of top guys, and in this fight, he couldn't implement his wrestling to get to the back and get that rear naked choke that he always finishes fighters with, and this is because of Cejudo's superior wrestling. So, you've got to say that this guy, although he is a little bit cringe, I mean, he is still the king of cringe, if you ask me. But even so, you've got to just give him a lot of respect. He's a top fighter. He's a top fighter. At 36, he's probably at the wrong end of the 30s, obviously, to really do the things that he wanted to do. He had a bucket list of beating Sterling, going on to fight Sugar Shane O'Malley, and then going up to fight Volkanovski. So, he had some real ambitious plans there. And Sterling has obviously put a spanner in the works to that. But like I said, I thought it was a good performance. Sterling kind of, you could say he ran, he didn't really do much, but I think there was a battle of the minds going on in there. Even when Cejudo got Sterling down, you notice he didn't really implement the wrestling that much, because he felt that Sterling was not really becoming tired or being fatigued by the wrestling. So he couldn't implement some of the things that he wanted to do. And he actually says this as well. There's a few times you saw him cranking on the neck, trying to put a lot of pressure on his neck, on Sterling's neck, to try to drain that gas tank, get rid of that energy, so that he can start to make him more fatigued. He'll be slow on the feet, and that is when Cejudo can start to close the distance. You can't do it straight away. So he was trying to implement that wrestling to kind of tire Sterling, and it wasn't really working, because Sterling would find a nice good base, a good position where he could just stall out and get his energy back and back to the feet. And then Henry was actually losing on the feet, because he was getting outstruck, because Sterling was using his distance well. He was landing the harder shots. So he was up against it tonight against a fighter like Sterling, and Sterling was very careful. He didn't rush in. I thought maybe he'd get clipped if he tried to be over-aggressive, and it was the opposite. He knew that Cejudo was quick, good timing. He landed some good strikes as well, but overall, Sterling landed the better strikes. He landed the more eye-catching punches as well. He landed some straight, clean punches as well. And to be honest, Sterling never really looked hurt in this fight. So I feel just on that, even if you make it a draw, just on damage done, Sterling won. That's my view of it. I have to watch it again. You have to understand it's a bit new, and it's a bit early to make a full breakdown. I can't even remember every sequence of strikes that happened, but I feel like Sterling edged the fight, and that's really the end of it. Moving on to the post-fight interview with Sterling, we saw some melodramatics from Sterling calling out Sugar Shane, and yeah, he answered. He came to the ring. It came to the cage, I should say. Sorry, I talk about boxing as well, so I often say the ring instead. But yeah, he came to the cage, and it was good. I feel like it made up for a little bit of a lackluster fight, and then we saw some confrontation between these two top fighters, Sugar Shane and Sterling, and now people are going to be really interested for the next fight. So I think it kind of saved this fight a little bit, because the fight itself was a bit lackluster, but the post-fight where Sterling called him out and he came to the ring, and then they kind of had a bit of a confrontation there. And then after that, there was a second confrontation with Sterling's team and Sugar Shane. And then Sterling obviously getting involved, and it all kind of kicked off a little bit. And I feel like that is the perfect advertisement, if you like, for that fight happening. And if that fight happens, I'm not so sure who wins, to be honest, because I feel like, and Henry actually said the similar thing, if Sterling can't take Sugar Shane down and implement his wrestling for some reason, he's in trouble on the feet, because Sugar Shane is sharp, he's taller than him, he knows how to use his range well, you know, he throws crisp, hard strikes, and I'd like to see how Sterling could deal with that. The obvious thing is that his weakness is the wrestling, and I think Sterling can implement that wrestling. That's going to be the big thing. But like I said, if Sterling can't implement the wrestling, I would edge Sugar Shane to win that. So I'm not sure who wins a possible matchup between those two. But yeah, overall the fight was a good fight. Let me know what you think. Do you think the fight with Cejudo and Sterling was closer than I was mentioning? Do you think the rightful person won? Maybe you gave the second round, which is the round I think is the contentious round, to Cejudo, which obviously complicates the whole thing. Let me know what you think. I'm on to the next one. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed the video, let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.